In this podcast episode, Reggie Watts shares deep reflections on creativity, the nature of reality, consciousness, and the human experience. The conversation explores how individuals can connect with their inner artist, navigate absurdity and paradox, engage with altered states of consciousness, and embrace improvisation as a life philosophy. Watts also touches on the importance of community, the interplay between self-reflection and creation, and the constructive role of humor and love in confronting anxiety and adversity. Reggie Watts emphasizes that everyone is inherently creative, and the key is not necessarily improving creative skills, but adopting the mindset of a creative entity. He urges listeners to break free from compartmentalizing skills or labeling themselves as not an artist, instead recognizing creativity in everyday actions, from making a smoothie to installing cabinetry. Creativity, he suggests, is not limited to traditional art forms. It is an all-encompassing way of engaging with life. Viewing yourself as a creative being increases access to diverse tools and modes of expression, making the creative process a continuous, playful adventure rather than a task relegated to specific times or identities. Watts discusses the profound role of absurdity, especially through comedy, as a lens revealing the paradoxical and illusory nature of reality. Humor often arises from subverting expectations, creating a paradox that momentarily dissolves fixed identities and ideological boundaries. Laughter, in this sense, acts as instantaneous enlightenment, a brief, shared recognition of life's absurdity and the collective divinity of experience. Embracing absurdity allows one to zoom out and appreciate how ridiculous and playful reality truly is, even amid darkness and struggle. This perspective transforms life's challenges into a kind of game, offering relief and insight into the fluidity of existence. For Watts, improvisation transcends performance. It is a fundamental way of being. Every action is an opportunity to engage playfully with the present moment. Even routine behaviors like opening a door or picking up a pencil contain opportunities for spontaneous variation. This constant improvisation embraces the fact that time moves forward and no two moments are identical. Practicing improvisation fosters a sense of flow and novelty, making life more vibrant and resilient against feeling trapped or limited. Watts relates improvisation to his musical background, describing how mastering structure liberates one to forget the rules and fully embody creative expression across various domains of life. Watts views creation and self-reflection as intertwined processes rather than separate activities. Drawing analogies from quantum physics, he describes consciousness as a unified field where internal awareness and external reality co-emerge and influence one another. The observer and the creator are fundamentally the same existence, manifesting through different perspectives. Deepening self-awareness naturally informs and enhances creative output, while creative engagement can open new spaces for reflection and self-discovery. A significant theme in the discussion is the importance of moving beyond preconceived intellectual models and habitual perceptions of reality. Watts critiques the cultural tendency to live through our ideas rather than direct experience, using the metaphor of top-down versus bottom-up processing. Cultivating fresh, presence-based perception allows one to rediscover even mundane objects and experiences with wonder and curiosity. This mindful attention reveals the hidden complexities and philosophies embedded in everyday life and counters the inertia of mechanical or automatic living. Watts shares his extensive experiences with various altered states of consciousness, particularly dissociatives like ketamine, as tools for exploring the nature of self and reality. He approaches these substances not as escapes, but as facilitators that reveal deeper layers of awareness. He emphasizes that the drug itself is not the source of insight. Rather, it is the consistent awareness maintained by the experiencer that forms the core. He also highlights the importance of integration, bringing expanded states into sober life, and stresses that there are many valid paths to self-realization, whether through meditation, psychedelics, or other practices. On the topic of anxiety, Watts describes it as a fear rooted in the instinctual dread of death and loss of existence. He frames anxiety as a challenge to awareness, a tight knot that can be gradually loosened through awareness practices and therapeutic interventions like ketamine-assisted therapy. Recognizing that identity is largely shaped by external circumstances, Watts encourages cultivating the internal state as a constant which is less vulnerable to external disruption. Humor, absurdity, and the awareness of the illusory nature of separation provide tools to loosen anxiety's grip and allow for greater freedom in responding to life's hardships. Watts articulates a view of life as a collective dance of consciousness, a co-created phenomenon where meaning arises from participation rather than an externally imposed purpose. The apparent dualities and conflicts of life are part of the design of this experience, necessary for the recognition of joy, community, and love. He sees life's apparent absurdity and suffering as integral facets of a playful consciousness exploring itself. Ultimately, rather than seeking a definitive why, the emphasis is on engaging fully and joyfully in the unfolding adventure, embracing both the light and darkness without attachment. The conversation highlights the value of holding seemingly contradictory truths simultaneously, a capacity known as perspectival metacognition. Watts employs examples such as holograms, where every fragment contains the whole, to illustrate how each individual reflects the entirety of human experience. This openness fosters compassion and openness in dialogue, reducing judgment and inviting fuller understanding. Accepting paradox and uncertainty becomes not only a cognitive strategy, but a form of love and community building, allowing for deeper connection despite differences. Watts underscores community as essential for reinforcing personal growth and creative expression. While inner work is fundamental, having a communal context that reflects and supports one's values provides resonance, eases burdens, and enriches life. He advocates for communities that avoid rigid tribalism and instead remain open to multiple ways of being. These clean mirrors amplify members' strengths and help sustain momentum in challenging times. Community is presented as a contagious field of coherence and love that nurtures both individual and collective well-being. Addressing artists and creators, Watts advises prioritizing enjoyment and playfulness in the creative process above all else. Passion and fun are vital guides that indicate alignment with one's true path. He rejects toil and frustration as the primary modes of creative work, advocating instead for preserving inspired moments and simplifying processes to protect the joy of creation. Following fun leads naturally to authenticity and coherence in expression. For those facing practical challenges of sustaining an artistic life, attachment to community, and shared passion are key supports that provide motivation and survival strategies. Throughout the discussion, Watts returns to the themes of love as the fundamental guiding force and humor as an essential coping and unifying mechanism. Maintaining a zoomed-out perspective helps put life's difficulties into context, balancing the gravity of experience with playful detachment. This orientation fosters resilience, compassion, and the capacity to take advantage of life, navigating the paradoxes of existence with grace. Love catalyzes coherence in both personal and collective realms, offering a hopeful path forward through complex and often dark times.